Okay, good morning and welcome to the first edition of Meetup with Mike. We're going to be having these meetups every other month, so be on the lookout for an email from me about the April Meetup with Mike. Today we're going to be answering questions submitted by you all. And we also have Bobbie, Mooney, and Jake Miller here. They're going to be talking about their upcoming transition to EDO. Questions during this broadcast, feel free to email or text me. My contact information is in the email that I sent earlier this morning. And a big thank you to Stacy Meyer for helping us out today. You can't see her, she's out big time today. So now I'm going to turn over to Director Morgan, and then we're going to get started with the questions.
Well, good morning, everybody, and thanks for joining us. As Caley said, welcome to the first meeting with Mike, I guess is what we're calling this for now anyway. I think most importantly, I hope that this is beneficial. If you'd like to see us, it's the first time we've done it. If you'd like to see some changes or different format, I think that's up to all of us on what's beneficial for anybody and everybody to really enhance and open up communications within the division. I think one of the things, questions in here was about challenges, and coming from a fire department where out over 850 square miles, it was pretty easy to keep track of where everybody was at, talk to everybody on a regular basis. Spread out over the entire state becomes a little more challenging. So I think this is an opportunity for us to open up those communications. As you probably gathered, I have a cold. I really planned on starting by singing a song to everybody, but I guess I won't do that for you. But more to come later on that. So.
All right, let's get started with the questions. So our first question, there have been rumors that DFPC will not be able to expand into the space that is now occupied by School Safety Resource Center. What is the plan? If DFPC does expand into the space, who will occupy it?
Okay, well, for those of you that have been at Kipling, all right, well, I should say maybe those that have not been to the Kipling campus, you probably don't understand that there's a whole lot of moving parts over here right now. The executive director's office, for example, just moved out of the 4th floor of 700 and moved over to the 2nd floor of 710, and it's since I've been here, it's been kind of a constant remodel. I don't think this question is any different. Why I bring that up, but if you've been to the offices here, you probably see the hallway that had been a dead end down by Teresa's office. There was a fridge there. We did a remodel. We took that wall out and remodeled a couple of offices over there to get some additional space in there. That space, we have confirmed Bobbie and Jake will be moving into that. That was kind of part of the reason we wanted to get Bobbie and Jake a little closer over here with some of the admin things that we were working on. So we're going to continue to do that. As far as the additional expansion, I don't know that there's any changes. I don't know that there's any real final decisions that have been made. What I've been told is, actually I talked to Adrienne a little bit about it just this week. She was in here with some other things going on, but we have first dibs on expansion there. And for sure, as far as priorities, there's not a lot about who gets what space or whatever, but definitely want to get people in spaces that are a little more comfortable. We all know that these cubicles are rather small. I'm looking at you when I say that.
Me specifically, yes. I appreciate that. Thank you for acknowledging. All right, we're going to skip the number 2. We're going to save that one for last because it's the best. All right, so regarding the vacant deputy director position, a uniformed officer with a firefighter background.
I think we're calling it a chief of staff position is what we're looking at. For sure, the position has to have a firefighting background, knowledge, and experience with that. But it's not required to be a uniformed position. In the time that I've been here, we've been trying to do a lot of evaluations on what that position is, what it looks like, what it should look like. Our section chiefs are very good at what they do. We don't really feel like we need people, we need another layer of supervision, if you will. What I see our needs being, our production manager is telling me I need to look at the computer. My apologies. But we need people that can support people in those roles and those capacities of what they're good at. Obviously, they have to have a background and know what we do. But we do a lot more than just fire, obviously, too. And there's obviously fire and life safety, the professional qualifications, support services, and quite honestly, where we have most of our challenges, I think everybody would agree, are in navigating the processes to get people the support they need to be effective and efficient at their job. I'll pick on Vaughn because he's not in the room, is that I want Vaughn to focus on, he's very good at what he does, and the guys in that section are good at what they do. I want them to focus on mission critical items, not on navigating complex policies and procedures. So that's kind of how the position description is written. I want to move forward with that.
All right, I understand, and this is from the person who wrote the question, I understand that other divisions do allow their employees to work from home a couple days out of the week. Would you consider DFPC also?
I think everybody knows we adopted a flex time standard operating guideline to evaluate with that. We haven't specifically got into working from home or alternate locations. I think there's potential to evaluate that on a case-by-case basis. The first question, of course, has to be, is it going to disrupt the workflow or the service capabilities of the division to do its job? And if it's going to disrupt that flow or our ability to provide services to our customers, internal and external customers, the answer is no, we can't do that. Now that said, obviously we have some folks in other capacities that their office is in their home. Some of the folks are more remotely located. So I don't think there's a blanket yes or no answer to that. I think it's a case-by-case basis and really evaluating the service needs and what the capacities that we need to be able to provide. And so I would start with your supervisor if you have that. I think most of us would know, if my job, obviously I can't, but I can answer that question for myself. If it would disrupt the ability for the division to provide services, I'd probably have a pretty good idea on my own. If I have questions, I think it's worth a conversation with your supervisor, and ultimately, it's probably the first step is flex type of arrangement, because working remotely is kind of a little different.
All right, this goes along with our previous question. When will the new chief of staff position be posted?
My target was February 1st. I didn't hit that. I guess I didn't say which February 1st.
Yeah.
That is all in my court right now. The ball is in my court. I'm not making excuses. It's my watch, my problem. It's literally been timing, finding the ability to dedicate the time to that particular project. We also want to make sure we get it right. I've had several meetings. We have what I will say probably a 95% complete draft of the position description, and exchanged several emails with Ruth Strauss. Bless her, she's being very patient. I ask her a question, she gets the information back to me, and a week or two later, I find time to get back with her, and so we're working through that. And it is a priority to get that in there, and I'm hoping to get that done by the end of February for sure. So I'm looking for some breathing. So Stacy, keep me some time open on the calendar.
All right. Do you want to drink some water before we
Sure.
get to the next 5 questions?
Next 5 questions. Okay.
Real quick break time. All right. What are the biggest challenges you are facing now as the director of DFPC? Good question.
That's a good question. That's a tough one. And I thought about that one a little bit, and I don't know if there's any one single that I would say would be the toughest challenges. I would say probably a better word for me anyway would be priorities. And they're kind of across the board. So these would be my priorities in trying to deal with things, but they're not in any specific order. One, obviously the fire billing, incident business components. Excuse me. That is obviously a very high profile thing. We're getting a lot of attentions from our customers, the local fire chiefs and county sheriffs. That is something we got people working very hard and doing a lot of good things. They're just overworked. We need to refine that model of how we get that work path, the flow path of how things progress through that. And it's bigger than just fire billing. It's the instant business components and all the things that go along with that. The other thing that has become a hot topic, as you guys probably saw in the email, incident management teams. That's another topic that we'll be having several conversations about over the next couple of weeks. For sure, the ability to move the mobile live fire training unit and the command of the driver simulator trailer around, what a tremendous resource that is for our folks around the state, firefighters that don't have access to those kinds of trainings. And we don't have the ability to get it out to them. So we're working hard on that. We looks like we're getting full staffing for fire and life safety section was another one that crept up into my mind with that, which it looks like we will be there or very close to that here in the next week or two. Master agreement, AOP with the feds, and then of course that goes into a whole other thing of making sure that our stakeholders, that we're all on the same page and collaborative about our processes and what we're doing and how we're doing things, so there's no surprises to anybody. So that's not a single one, but I think those are the things that are a lot of moving parts.
Mm-hmm. Great. Is there an update on the strategic planning process?
Yeah, and you'll be seeing more and more coming out on that as it goes forward, and obviously Melissa and all other folks that are working on the internal working group. Thank you so much for your continued work. I think it's turning into a lot more work than maybe I think a lot of people anticipated, but there's some really good stuff going on, and I feel, honestly, I feel really good about where we're at and where we're going, because it is. We have to accept it's going to be a living, breathing document. And if we need to make adjustments to our strategic plan in July, then make adjustments to your plan in July. I don't want some kind of a document that we feel like we put in a great big 3-ring binder and we put it on the shelf in our office, and then we come back in a year and knock the spider webs and the dust and stuff off of it and go, what did that thing say again? It has to be functional. So I think kind of where they're at, and I don't want to steal any thunder from those folks that are doing a lot of the work, but they're kind of where it's going to be this wrong, 3 volumes, I'll call it this. The first section of things would be that history of the division, what our responsibilities are statutorily, some backgrounds and different things about how we ended up where we were. So if somebody comes through the door and says, that new employee comes in, kind of that onboarding. The second part would be the strategic planning, which obviously we've had the various meetings and the feedback from the stakeholders, SWOT analysis and all of those things, our mission, vision, values, all of those things are established. And then we will then kind of what they're calling a tactical piece of it, which will be the third portion of it, to really get into by section, what are your goals and what are you trying to accomplish? And that kind of takes me back to even the last question about priorities, is that's where we'll identify and go, for Chief Quick could be, one of his goals obviously would be to have a driver to move these trailers around and lay out what we're going to do to identify that. And those are works in progress. So, be patient. I know most of us in this world or in this line of work are type A personalities. But there's a time and a place for being impatient, and time and a place to be patient. So please, this is one of those to be patient and methodical, and we're doing good things.
All right, is there anything moving through the legislature that we should know about or should be excited about?
Excuse me again. There's obviously a lot of things happening legislatively. Right now, for the Division of Fire Prevention and Control, there's nothing that I would say is really exciting yet. We have a couple of things we're monitoring. We have Senate Bill 50 we're supporting, which is the consolidation of the mitigation grants. There was 2 mitigation grants, one in DNR and one in Colorado State Forest Service, and that's moving both of the mitigation programs into one under Colorado State Forest Service. We're supporting that. We testified. That does provide some continued funding for us in a couple of areas. So that's earth-shattering, exciting, but it's good stuff. This is unmanned aerial systems pilot project, which would be to evaluate the use of unmanned aerial systems in public safety, which would put that program in the center of excellence to do that work. That is still kind of there's a draft out. There's some amendments still bouncing around on it. There's not an official position from the Department of Public Safety on that. But we're working through those in the fiscal notes that go along with it. The only other real one, as far as official legislation, was actually a joint resolution. We testified yesterday that, and that was to get ask Congress to not fund mitigation programs and suppression out of the same budget, to make sure we try to. That's happened for several years, to try to get Congress to do that, that those funds should be handled separately. There are some other things, so those are not super exciting. Don't stay awake for the upcoming some of those. But I think there's some other draft things that we think we'll probably see. We think there's some folks working really hard to try to get the firefighter health and safety grant program back this year, which would be really exciting. And that seems to have a little bit of momentum behind it. We'll see how that goes. And then, as far as anything super exciting, it's early. There's a lot of bills. When I was down there yesterday, I was told that there's a lot of bills that they were anticipating being done with drafting that are not out yet. So there's a lot out there. I think maybe one of the other things on that part that we talked about, several of us talked about at the staff meeting, is to try to get information out to you guys on what legislative things are happening out there. Because it changes so fast. We're going to try to get something figured out to do like a weekly. I talked with Gabby, the legislative liaison, a little bit about it, with Jana Locke, a little bit about it, and to try to get something coordinated with our folks to get out to you so you know what bills are out there. We can let you know, if there's a position, if the Department of Public Safety is taking a position on it, which becomes our position. Any of us that are employees of the executive branch becomes our position. So we're hoping to get that put together so that when people ask you, hey, what's going on with this, you have a short summary kind of what this is, and where the department is at it, as well as the division. So we're going to work on that. Continue to work on that.
Are there any near future plans for the fire building section?
There's no concrete plans as of yet. I kind of alluded to that earlier, that that's one of those things. It's been a work in progress, and I think, again, we have really good people doing really good work. They're just overworked, and we've got to figure out the right size of the model. I think, they looked at that, they did some things there, and thought there was an assumption that we had a fairly good handle on some of that, but we didn't have any real fires. We had a pretty quiet fire season, so now all of a sudden we go into that was fairly active, and we had folks who Beaver Creek fire, the fire that would never go away. People out there for long periods of time, and created a lot of workload. And we're really trying to take a hard look at. And actually, there's a meeting about, I believe, 2:30 today to talk about that with the executive director's office, with the staff in there, and to try to figure out with all the pieces and parts with fire billing, from the invoicing for what we've done, services we've provided, billing the feds, paying cooperators, the time cards for our folks going out, and all the audits and all the different things that go along with that. We're really trying to take a look at the whole, and then to figure out how many folks we really need to do that. So there's nothing major, other than, I'm sure some of you have heard, we've, and this isn't major, this isn't new, is that we'd really like to get that, spend some time evaluating that incident business capacity, and to have folks, when there's a significant event taking place in Colorado, that we have folks that are out there at those incidents, and that even ties into kind of that incident management team concept that, that I said a little bit earlier, is we've got to right size for Colorado. I hate to keep saying right size, but it just is that with everything that we're doing, we need to make sure we're meeting Colorado's needs first, and Colorado and the people of Colorado meet their needs first, which means some adjustments perhaps even in our structure with incident business and in our incident management capabilities of sending folks out there that can represent us from a financial or incident business perspective. So we're really trying to look hard at all of those things.
Excellent. Now on to the last question. This is a tough one.
Yes.
What is your favorite color, and how old are you?
Blue and really old. I like long walks on the beach.
That's the best question. Thank you, whoever asked that. That's great.
I'm 50. Old, yeah. My daughter always is like, Dad, you might want to slow down on that. We don't want you to break a hip.
Oh, nice.
Experience.
Okay, so now we're going to hand it over to Bobbie and Jake. They're going to talk to us a little bit about their transition and the email that was recently sent out.
Sure. Okay. Well, so the email went out yesterday, day before, about a transition for Jake and I's positions as policy analysts. Over the course of the next 5 months, we're going to be transitioning into new positions with the Executive Director's Office for the Department of Public Safety. So the new roles are compliance officers. And in those positions, we will be working on a few different things, which is great because we're very comfortable with a grab bag of duties and tasks. But they include specifically policy development for the whole department. So a lot of similar stuff that we've done for the division, but now the opportunity to help bring those sorts of policy developments and changes to the whole department for all the divisions. We'll also be working on some accreditation tasks for the different divisions, possibly even an accreditation project for DFPC for the first time. So that could be really exciting and interesting project that you may hear more about in the future. Additionally, we will be working on some administrative reviews and professional standards investigations for the department. So we're really excited about those new tasks, and it's an exciting opportunity for us to apply some of the skills and experience that we have with the division and now share those with the other divisions of the department. But we're not sneaking away completely. We'll still be doing a lot of stuff for DFPC. And I wanted to go over a few of those things specifically. So first of all, we'll still be handling rulemaking for DFPC. We work a lot, especially with the fire and life safety section on that. So we'll have the same role regarding rulemaking going forward. We'll also still be working on DFPC's SOGs, our standard operating guidelines. We've got a number of those in the pipe, and we'll be continuing to develop new ones as the needs arise. Additionally, we'll still be available to help out with some of the drafting and negotiating of contracts and agreements. For example, helping out as needed on some of the aviation contracts or some of the big agreements that DFPC has with other partner government agencies, such as the master agreement that Mike mentioned between DFPC and all the federal agencies that work on wildland fire. And then we'll still be available as needed for sort of those kind of random legal research or legal research and writing tasks that come up when you have questions that have to do with laws or statutes or policy. We'll still be available to help answer those questions and connect DFPC to the right for answers and resources they need on those kinds of things. So that's what it's looking like. And as the email mentioned, we're doing a 5-month transition, and the importance of that is to make sure it's really smooth and make sure that we don't leave any gaps unfilled. So we'll be working a lot over the next few months to develop plans for continuity on the different things that we've worked on, and reaching out to some individuals within the division to help ask for some help as we work through that process. So I think that's kind of the whole story in a nutshell. The email has a little more info that you can check out there. And also, of course, you can email us or talk to us or call us up with any questions or concerns you have as we work through the transition. But, yeah.
I don't believe I have any.
We haven't gotten any questions over text message or email, so I think we're going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for joining us. Feel free to come back to the DFPC YouTube page to rewatch. I'll be sending out a link this afternoon to that video. And thanks for watching. Look for us in April.
Stay safe, everybody.